one thing Palo Alto did not help us with, maybe it didn't hurt us a drop, was Caltrans. But Rabbi Feldman did something else, which probably changed the history of Eruvs, not just in San Jose or in Northern California, but will change the history of Eruvin in the whole state of California. See, when Rabbi Feldman built his Eruv, he pulled in Boris Feldman to help him out. Boris, he didn't go to Penn Law, he went to Yale Law. But nonetheless, Boris is ranked on, if you look him up, he's represented Mark Zuckerberg and Mark Benioff, Google and Facebook. He's ranked one of the top few attorneys in the state of California. But Boris told me when we were in the beginning of the project, said, if you ever have a problem with Caltrans, let me know. You know, people say things, but very often when you come to them, when you say, let me know, it doesn't always pan out. And the minute, I want to tell you, we were rejected by Caltrans. The letter was, you're not getting an Eruv. I spoke to them, you're not getting an Eruv. And I called Boris, I told him they said no to us. The same week, Oakland got a no after us. And 2 days later, I was in his office. And from there, really, the tide turned. And because of that, not only do we have an Eruv, we're the first Eruv in this policy, but the state of California, for the first time, has a policy for the state highways to get an Eruv. So thank you to Boris. You know, when we're starting this project, we needed a top attorney, and I didn't have a top attorney. You know, my parents, when I moved here from Miami Beach, Florida, so my parents said, how many doctors and attorneys do you have in the synagogue? So I said, we have a president who's a doctor, and we have a judge. Like, is that it? I'm a rabbi of engineers. You know, I'm a rabbi of people from Google or Apple. There's no doctor. Like in Miami Beach, everyone was a doctor or a lawyer. But I looked who could be the best, who has an excellent reputation in both being a land use attorney and being connected to the Jewish community. And I cold called a gentleman who I never met before. His name is Bart Hechtman, who's standing here tonight, who at the time was on the board, but shortly after became the president of Eitz Chaim in Palo Alto, Temple Eitz Chaim, and who from the beginning came out with us, invested time. Little did I know that some of the jurisdictions that we would have to get, like, or even our two private asks, like the Elks Lodge, Bart represents the Elks Lodge. So when we needed to get a permit from the Elks Lodge, it was all in the family. Thank you, Bart. I know I'm going to get into big trouble for doing this. I was told I can't. But this is personal, and it's nothing to do with the Eruv. You know, when you start a project, you know, you have a vision. Really, the fundraising on this was amazing, and a lot of money came when the push comes to shove. But you know what it is to start a project and ask for money, and you don't have a deadline. You don't know when it's going to come. And I didn't want to take money from people who every day would call me up, no, I gave you $50, you know, where's my Eruv? So I went to somebody that's a friend and that I trust, who not only donates to the Eruv, but never pressured at the Eruv. So that's the Raka family. I think it's David Raka. Yeah, I just tell us over. You know, Ephraim and I got to know the homeless population of San Jose during the Eruv. And now our checkers like Asaf and Shiran and Yehuda know them. They're buddies with all the homeless because a lot of our polls are on the area of where in Greenbloom and Maryland and Menasha. All of our polls are in the right of way, either on the water district or on the state highways. And I remember once in the beginning, I was walking there with Ephraim. We're near Branham and by the Guadalupe, and a homeless guy comes out of the bridge, and he tells Ephraim and I that his best friend just got murdered. And then he looks at me, and he says, by the way, do you own Arcadia? Like out of the blue, he says to me, now I happen to know the owner of Arcadia. I said, no, I don't own Arcadia. But I will tell you that the owner of Arcadia Construction, Eli Reinhardt, was one of the big donors of Eruv, but importantly, he was somebody who has been in construction in the Bay Area for decades. He's also a close friend, and whether it was Ruth and Going or advice from the beginning, Eli contributed his time. I called him many times. I asked him for things. He also warned me about Caltrans, amongst other things. Thank you to Eli. One of the teams that Eli told us about was Ruth and Going. And Ruth and Going are from the premier civil engineers in Santa Clara County. And Eli had worked with them for many years. So actually, Jerry Young and Mike Sheehy, who are the principals, are not here today. They're both out of town. Michael Sheehy put in, I mean, you can't imagine, Michael didn't know, I think you know what Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is. But you can ask Mike, you can ask Bar, right? You can ask Mike today. Mike knows what a lechi. He knows what Suras Pesach. He can ask, no, Steve, right? He'll like ask, well, why isn't the halacha this way? We have those, Steve Sherman. Steve, not only does he work for Ruth and Going, he had formerly worked for Caltrans. And I think there were points of days where we must have emailed 20 times a day. Literally for the past, Caltrans, when they rejected us about 4 years ago, the past several years we spent a lot of time together. So thank you to Steve. Now you have to imagine explaining this to a lot of people in Eruv who never heard of an Eruv. Now imagine trying to insure this Eruv, which nobody ever heard of. And Dennis Teifeld, I really believe, was the only person who can get us insurance for this Eruv. Dennis is a veteran of investing in Jewish philanthropy and organizations in the Bay Area. And when Ephraim and I asked Dennis, it may have been a long journey for anyone else, but Dennis got on the case. And the insurance requirements were outrageous, but we did it thanks to Dennis. Thank you. As you saw in the video, Councilmember Oliverio was critical in our first and master permit, which is San Jose. He took a personal interest in the Eruv, and I know he's a childhood friend of Ephraim. We have become close, very close over the past 10 years. Councilmember Oliverio has been by many of our dinners, he's been by my son's brisses, and really, I really at every level, it was, and I think over the years, I've said this even in the Mercury News and other venues, Councilmember Oliverio views his constituents not as regular people, but he puts his heart and soul to them. He's running for supervisor. I wish him hatzlacha. That means great luck. And I thank you for all of your help. I'm also very pleased that we have our current council member who is not particularly involved in the Eruv, but from the beginning expressed interest and support. And in fact, I was at a venue in the city 2 weeks ago, and Councilmember Davis says to me, Rabbi Levine, I saw the polls on Bird Avenue. So she already knows where the Eruv is. And I thank Councilmember Davis for coming. The Eruv, there's two parts. One is the fencing of the Eruv, and the other, once you have the fence, you need symbolic permission to carry anyone there. So several weeks ago, we had a meeting in the Sheriff Laurie Smith's office once, and then we had a second meeting where we had to meet all the assistant DA, all the assistant sheriffs as well. And I told the sheriff that Washington, D.C. had George W. Bush sign their Eruv, and some of the other states had the governors. There's only one person who this entire Eruv over here is under their jurisdiction. And I told the sheriff that, historically it was like kings or dukes. So I said, Sheriff, you are our king. And she was happy to sign. At the first meeting, the DA, Jeff Rosen, who's the first Jewish DA actually in Santa Clara County, came. And over the years, I would see him at events, and whenever I mentioned the Eruv, he would mention if I could ever help. And again, when you hear that from people, it doesn't always mean something. When I called him, could he help out with the Schiras Shos and other things? He was very helpful, and I thank the county sheriff, the county DA, Jeff Rosen. Where's Ralph? Here. Ralph Farias, I want you to know what this is like. Imagine having 9 months of pregnancy, and then you gotta deliver. You want the best OBGYN. You want the best person to deliver. Ralph of Coastline Construction, we were his 12th Eruv. He built the big Eruv in LA, he built several Eruvs in LA. He built the 2 in San Diego, built Scottsdale, he built Palo Alto. If you would watch Ralph and his father and brothers, they made this process. I mean, the city inspectors, the county inspectors, the Caltrans inspectors were blown away. And I appreciate it. Ralph came up all from LA tonight, and his father. Thank you. Thank you to many Echad parents for putting this all together for all of us. And thank you to all of our donors, supporters, or friends for making tonight so special. May we always share in celebration. May we always share in accomplishments. May we always share in simpleness. Thank you. Amen. That's it, dessert.